Star Wars Outlaws official story trailer. It's here. It's #1 on trending. Gee whiz. How is it #1 on trending at 1 million views if the Joker Folia Do trailer dropped 15 hours ago and is at 6.6 million? YouTube's a mystery, dude. I don't know how they determine what's on trending or not. And I'm saying this as somebody, I think the highest video I ever got was like 14 on trending, but like I was beating out an Ariana Grande music video and it didn't make any sense because she's like, the video was doing way better than my video. I just don't understand any of it. I don't understand any of it. All of YouTube is a mystery, okay?
Each of you represents some of the most powerful criminal organizations in the galaxy. Pikes, Crimson Dawn, Hutts. It's a golden age for the underworld. The Empire controls every corner of the galaxy, but they're distracted by a rebellion that won't quit. It's an opportunity to make millions.
Kay Vess, the underworld's favorite new scoundrel. We meet at last.
What do you want?
Zarek Besh. They're new, rich, and lethal. You crossed their boss Sliro, and now he wants you gone. Rob his fortune and buy your freedom.
This job, it's a death wish. I'm in.
Out here, you live and die by your reputation. You want to survive? Know the players.
You're new to this world.
What's your problem?
Come back when you're not.
Jabba, right? Look, don't try anything. I got a whole crew surrounding the... Okay, we're skipping that part.
For about as long as I can remember, it's just been me and Nix. Doing what we have to survive. This job is my one shot at freedom. But if we're gonna pull this off, we need the right crew. And the right ship. Yes! Hang on.
I hire you because you are one of the best hunters in the Outer Rim.
She's more connected than you let on, Sliro. Bess is mixed up in something bigger.
The Outer Rim is a dangerous place. Everyone is fighting for their piece of the galaxy. But all I want is to live free. So I'm gonna risk it all. Hold on, Nick!
Star Wars Outlaws, pre-order available now.
Okay. So I did see, okay, this just made me think of it because I saw one person on Twitter that was like freaking out. They're like, oh my God, Star Wars is ripping off Dune now. I'm like, bro, you realize Dune is from like it's not modern. I know the movie just came out, like the remake or whatever. Dune's been around for a bit, and so has Star Wars. The sandworm thing is not new. It's just funny. Anyway, there's right off the bat, I mean, I feel like the story trailer, it basically pitches this as just Han Solo, but as a woman now, which isn't necessarily bad. You know, that's not immediately like, okay, game over, Red Rover. That's not necessarily bad. I'm not sure if it's that original of a story, but you know, if we look at like the side-by-sides of the cinematic quality, if I go like here, where was the picture of the weird, like, oh, right here, this one. And then we also saw this character in this trailer here. So to me, like, I know the lighting's different. I know like all that's a little bit different. I feel like there's a bit of a downgrade going on where this, just the quality of the cinematic was crazy, crazy high. And I feel like this footage is a little bit lessened. Now, it could be there are a couple of other things going on. I mean, for one, I don't think they show specifically what it's running on, but it might be a console version. I don't know. That might just be pure cope. I'm not sure. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a downgrade going on in a couple of spots. But I'm glad that they're at least showing it, right? Like instead of trying to hide it or something. So I'll give them that. As for other things, like I know some people have brought up that the protagonist looks a good bit different. Where's a close-up of the protagonist? I don't know if it's a downgrade. I just think, or like somebody said in chat that they made her look more ugly. I don't see that. I just see like the hair quality is a little bit lessened, but this looks more like a modern video game running on actual hardware. This always looked really, really good, which is what was so exciting about it. So I don't know if it's just, that they couldn't get this level of fidelity working in a console version or something, so they downgraded. I don't know. But it looks like the same model to me, as far as I can tell. It looks like the same model. Somebody was also complaining about the mullet haircut. This to me just seems like an 80s haircut because it's, of course, inspired by Star Wars. It's set in the original trilogy, is it not? So I think it's all just taking inspirations from those 80s films where the like weird hairstyles was considered acceptable. Even though mullets now are also coming back in. My barber yesterday was telling me that he's done a lot more mullets than he'd like to admit. He's like, I can't tell them no. I can hazard against it, but apparently mullets are making a comeback. As for other things like, yeah, this little cameo, that's interesting. That's interesting. What the hell is a DUI haircut? What does that even mean? That's okay. That's funny. I don't know. As for everything else, like I don't really know what I was expecting from the story, but it just sounds like, a pretty standard, okay, go rob from the rich and then you set yourself free and then you get caught up in some extra stuff. Like what are the odds? What's the over under on her getting Force abilities later in the game? She's actually like a super Jedi Han Solo spin-off character. That would be my guess, because that's what they always tend to do with games like this. But as for all this, like I was expecting like some more epic monster fights or boss battles or something. It doesn't seem like there's much of any of that. It looks like you're mainly going to be fighting humanoids and stuff. Nothing that crazy. There's more stealth sequences, which is something we saw in the original footage as well. It looks like there's a lot more of that. And granted, this is not supposed to be like a gameplay reveal or anything, but I was hoping that they'd show off some like big monsters or something, for larger encounters, bigger set piece encounters. And it doesn't seem to be a ton of that, which again, doesn't mean the game is bad. It's just, I was hoping for some bigger set pieces, but that's okay. This shot's really interesting to me because our understanding is that the game is basically set up into smaller open world maps that you can travel to that kind of serve as standalone planets, similar to how Jedi Survivor works, but less linear and less intentional, much more open and wide. So this whole area, allegedly, you'll be able to explore and travel around. There will be a few different planets like that you can explore. I think it's an interesting way of doing it. I think it's certainly better than like the Starfield approach of 1,000 planets all procedurally generated. I'd rather a few handcrafted maps that they're not planet sized, but they give you the idea that you're on a different planet, different environments and stuff. Other stuff like this shot I thought looked really, really good. This shot, for whatever reason, I think is a standout. It looks closest to the quality we saw in the original footage cinematics. And then other like shots like this are a little bit less impressive. Some people were complaining about the walking animation quality. I don't know if I saw anything like super jarring there. To me, it just doesn't make me like super hyped or stoked or anything. I was hoping that the reveal would have some really cool novel stuff. Seeing Jabba's cool, but it doesn't seem like there's a ton that's super outrageous or cool happening in the footage they showed. I didn't see anything that made me see, or I didn't see anything in this that made me go, oh wow, that's badass. Pretty much everything in here is you're like, oh, Jabba, cool. He's got this guy over here recognize. And it's not super clear what the big selling point is based off of this. I just don't, I don't know if it's that the game looks underwhelming or if it's that it's just not a very good trailer. The bad guys also don't seem very compelling. Both of their performances, I'm assuming these are the bad guys based on the presentation. Both of the performances aren't super captivating. Didn't really get me. I hope they add Jar Jar Binks' goofy ass in there. Jar Jar just shows up. Yeah. Hey, look, a game without Deborah Wilson. Who's Deborah Wilson? Is she the lady that Waller? Yeah, she is. She totally is. Okay, yeah. Yeah, she's in like freaking everything. Deborah Wilson. Yeah, she was in the Jedi Survivor movie or games, not movies. Suicide Squad. Waller out. Trailer direction and dialogue choices feel underwhelming. Yeah, I don't know why you lead with some less than like thrilling stuff. You know, like humanoid enemies, in my opinion, are always going to be less enthusing than something really crazy and wacky. Jabba, cool addition. I like to see that. You know, some people were complaining, oh wow, we're going back to locations we've already seen in the Star Wars universe. I think if they didn't do that, people would also be complaining because they're like, okay, so it doesn't even feel like Star Wars because you're not even going to Star Wars locations. Like, there's some people that will never be happy or satisfied, and I don't want to fall into that group. I think a lot of this just feels very safe as far as a trailer is concerned. It just feels like it's Star Wars recognizable locations and kind of tropes stacked into a trailer. It's just very safe. Doesn't mean the game is bad. It's just not that compelling, you know? It's just like, okay, well, there's that, you know? The true Star Wars fan will always complain about Star Wars. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just really not a whole lot to go on. It does still leave me, I think, where I was before, if not a little bit more like, okay, like, are there really not any like huge, big, crazy sequences or set pieces? Is it just fighting like college lit students? Is that all we're doing? Because I was hoping for like something a little bit more crazy and epic for a Star Wars adventure, but there's just not anything quite on that scale that we've seen. And we see more and more doubling down of these like stealth sequences, a lot of footage of those. This is the one larger set piece that seems compelling. Like you're actually going to go into the mouth of a sandworm. That's cool. That's cool. That could be like super cool. We don't really get to see much of anything of it other than sliding in with the teeth poking out, but that could be a cool sequence. I'll give them that. We just don't really get to see much of it. Everything else, you know, racing, the bikers, the big worm. This is a cool set piece. You know, this is kind of what I would expect. So there's that. But I was expecting a little bit, you know, more of a bold choice, more bold choices in the trailer. But I don't think it looks bad. You know, there's some people that are like freaking out over it, saying that it looks like garbage. I don't see that. I just think it's a very, very safe trailer. Sarlacc, it's a sandworm. It's a sandworm. Let's be honest. let's be completely honest. Okay. So. Lightsabers. Yeah. Do you think she gets a lightsaber later? Probably, right? I think she's going to end up having force abilities, probably find a lightsaber, run into Luke or something. I don't know. What's up with this thumb? Does that thumb not look a little weird? I've seen some people that are like, oh no, it's like they just realized that you're playing as a girl in this game and they're like freaking out over it. They're like, oh my God, it's just female Han Solo all over again. And like, yeah, we've known that. That was kind of clear in the first trailer, the first one that we got. Is it the most original idea? No, I don't think so. For whatever reason, Disney is just, they're like, okay, well, for Rey, let's just have Rey be Luke Skywalker, but a girl, and we'll just do that. And then they're surprised when girls and boys don't find the story very compelling. And then with this, they're like, okay, let's do Han Solo, but a girl, you know, like, okay, she's like the raider. She tries to kind of scam people for money, and she's running around doing all sorts of illicit activities for quick cash. And then she has a hairy alien sidekick that's kind of cute and endearing all at the same time. And then you hop in your clunky spaceship that's actually really powerful, and then you go off and you get caught up in a story that's bigger than yourself. You know, there's all those things. It's like, okay, so it's Han Solo. That's what you're telling me. But we've known that since the last trailer. Doesn't mean the game's going to be bad. It's just not that original. But I do feel like this original gameplay trailer looks almost better than the like story trailer that we just got, which to me is the only real concerning bit, because I'm like, if the gameplay trailer looked better than the narrative trailer, that probably means that there's been a couple of downgrades, which is always concerning given Ubisoft's history with downgrades. So to me, there's just not a whole lot to go on. It's a super, super safe trailer, and there's not that much in there that's crazy. Why didn't they make you choose the gander, or I think you meant gender, of the playable character? Well, because they just didn't. Like, I know some people are like, oh, well, they should have let you pick male or female. Okay, but they didn't. So, like, okay. You know, like, again, that doesn't mean the game is bad. It's just something they didn't choose to do, you know? You know, we can also complain, like, okay, well, why didn't they have, you know, a Sith Lord in this trailer? Why didn't they have this or that? Well, because they didn't. You know, they didn't. I just, there's a million ways to complain about something, and that's not being skeptical, that's just being cynical. And I understand that Ubisoft, for many, many, many people, has earned cynicism, and people immediately jump to like, this is bad because it's coming from these guys. I get that impulse, but I think you can also miss out on some good games if you start from the presupposition that everything will suck because of X, Y, and Z. Like, you need to start trying to give it a fair shot and then evaluate evidence from there. And in this case, I think the team at Massive Entertainment is very capable. You know, we're not talking about Montreal or Quebec. We're talking about an accomplished team that's done the Division games. So it's a separate team. But then again, you can also look at it and be like, okay, well, they just did, it's not the same group of people, but it's the same company just did Avatar. And Avatar was like super, super safe. Yeah, all we need is a cooking mechanic. Avatar was super, super safe. There were very few like huge, crazy risks in that game. It was just very, very safe. And it seems to me that this is a similar situation where it's probably not going to be that crazy. I think Jedi Survivor had a lot of crazy epic sequences. There were risks taken in that story. No spoilers, but there's some cool stuff that they try to pull off in that game. Whether it's successful or not is kind of up for debate. But I think that there were some risks at least taken. And in this case, I don't think that there's going to be the same type of thing. Let's see. You can check Star Wars Outlaws story trailer developer breakdown, and here's some of their feedback. Oh, interesting. Let's see that developer breakdown. And then it's just a video of developers having a breakdown. It's like, okay, this is what I thought it was. It's just a bunch of people having a mental breakdown. Okay, let's see.
Hello, and welcome to the Star Wars Outlaws story trailer developer.
Naveed Kavari. I believe we follow each other on Twitter or X. I don't know.
Breakdown. Today, I'm going to give you more information about what you saw in the new story trailer, including details about new characters and criminal syndicates.
Oh, wait, I didn't even realize they're doing celebrity cameos. Dude, that's crazy. Did you see that?
Information about what you saw in the new story trailer, including details about new...
It's Aiden Ross. I had no idea that they were okay, I'll shut up.
Characters and criminal syndicates.
Each of you represents some of the most powerful criminal organizations in the galaxy.
Sliro is one of the galaxy's elite, living in Canto Bight and leading his own burgeoning and highly lethal criminal syndicate, Zarek Besh. Sliro organized this gathering of syndicates as a demonstration of that power, and to show that his organization, Zarek Besh, should not be crossed.
It's a golden age for the underworld.
In the golden age of crime syndicates, the syndicates in Star Wars Outlaws are spread across the Outer Rim, and their impact can be felt everywhere. We have previously shared that the Pike Syndicate, the Hutt Cartel, and the Ashiga Clan, which is a new syndicate created in close collaboration between Massive Entertainment and Lucasfilm Games, are in the game. Today, we got to reveal that the elegant and sophisticated, yet highly dangerous syndicate, Crimson Dawn, will also be a key player in the underworld of Star Wars Outlaws.
I don't know what any of this means. Continuing.
Kay Vess.
Across the Outer Rim, Kay will build her reputation and form tense and ever-changing alliances with each of these syndicates, which will offer varying gameplay and narrative opportunities depending on your actions.
So you're working with the syndicates to like team up against the big boy crime boss, I think. Okay.
Providing you access to some of the most lucrative jobs in the galaxy, or hunting you down if you've double-crossed them.
What do you want?
Zarek Besh. You crossed their boss Sliro, and now he wants you gone.
Jalen is somewhat of a mentor for Kay. He's a fellow scoundrel that has a lot of experience in the underworld, and he sees potential in her.
Rob his fortune and buy your freedom.
Jalen offers Kay her one shot at ultimate freedom to pull off one of the greatest heists the galaxy has ever seen. As a member of the galaxy's elite, Sliro's mansion is heavily fortified by multiple levels of security and his own personal syndicate, Zarek Besh.
I bet it's going to be something like you go in, you get tasked with this, you make some partners, you do the big heist like 5 to 10 hours into the game, and then something crazy happens and it's like, oh God, it's actually part of the Empire that is now pissed because you saw something you shouldn't have seen, or you stole something you shouldn't have stolen, and now you have to like go on the run from the Empire or something. There's gonna be something like that where they're gonna fake you out that you think the game's ending, I think, because why else would they show what is allegedly the final mission of the game, right? Like the big task is to rob this guy, and they're showing you footage of that. Why would they do that? Because I don't think it is. Crisscross. Yeah.
Failed job, Sliro doesn't take kindly to Kay, placing a bounty on her head and sending one of the galaxy's best bounty hunters, Vale, to hunt her down.
This job, it's a death wish.
And you say it's one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy, but like the robot dude throws her across the room. And isn't this a layup? Why didn't they have Boba Fett or somebody do this? Isn't it in the right time period? Why wouldn't they do that?
The legendary Hutt cartel represent one of the criminal syndicates that Kay will encounter during her...
Oh, dude, it took me so long to realize why they're called the Hutt. I just realized why the syndicate is called the Hutts. Wow. Okay, that took me, okay. Not my proudest moment.
Journey across the Outer Rim. Kay and Nix will come face to face with their leader Jabba and his iconic...
I was like, no, his name is Jabba Hutt. You know, Jabba James Hutt or something. I didn't connect. Oh wait, no, he's a part of the Hutts. Okay, yeah, there we go.
throne room on Tatooine. But the Hutt presence will be felt across other locations and planets too, where you will meet some new faces of the Hutt cartel. So you'll need to be careful, as your reputation will follow you.
Out here, you live and die by your reputation.
These syndicates have real power in the underworld in each of the locations Kay and Nix will visit on their journey. Their impact and influence will be felt wherever you go, from the vendors you interact with, the jobs you take on, the support you receive, and even the access you have to certain territories.
This job is my one shot at freedom.
Attempting to rob Sliro's mansion alone would be impossible. Even if Kay and Nix got in, they wouldn't be getting out. In order to pull off the job, Kay and Nix will need to travel across the Outer Rim to find skilled outlaws and convince them to join her in pulling off the greatest heist the galaxy has ever seen. There's a lot of fun and exciting characters that you'll meet on your journey, some of whom you see here.
Hang on.
I mean, there is another possibility. I mean, I outlined that, like, oh, you'll do the heist mission 10 hours in, and then it kickstarts another act of the story where you saw something you shouldn't have seen, and then you have a big boss fight against Darth Vader or something. Like, they could go crazy like that. Maybe. Or we know that they are not working on a sequel. We know they've already said right after this they're going to the Division 3. They are seemingly not doing any more of these games. This is like a one and done thing. It is possible that this is just going to be like a 10 to 15 hour adventure where you do this, you get everybody on your team, you do the heist, you get out, credits roll. It's possible. I'd be surprised if they're talking so freely about it and not leaving like anything to the imagination, but it like sometimes we see that with games that don't have a ton of content, that they are very transparent. I'm not sure if they address the length, and if they were like, yeah, no, it's over 20 hours, then I think it's pretty safe to say that you probably do the heist and then there's another act after that. But I don't know. I'm surprised they're being so transparent with it, though.
I hire you because you are one of the best hunters in the Outer Rim.
Raised in the underworld, Vale has had a toe in every syndicate and has learned from each of them. Because of her experience, Vale is a formidable adversary for Kay. She can...
This would have been a great role for, like, Idris Elba. You know, he's just got that scary vibe where you're like, you could kill me, and I'd probably let you because you're Idris Elba. You know, he's got that vibe. There's some people, you know, like, I've, as you guys might know, I've done acting in, like, plays and musicals and stuff before. It's been a while. Pretty much pre-COVID was the last one I did. But when you're going in for castings, you know, there's a common thing where people are like, don't typecast me. I don't want to be typecast. But you can get a hell of a lot more roles once you accept that you do have a type. And sometimes you just do. In college, we did, I was in a class that was like film actors prep. And it was interesting because it was all about training for like being on camera and stuff. And it was very, very useful and really interesting. And one of the days that we did class, our professor, a really nice guy named Walt Jones, he had a connection with somebody, a lady by the name of Sharon Bialy. And if you don't know Sharon Bialy, she is the casting director for pretty much everything AMC does. So like she's the one that cast Breaking Bad. She did like all the casting for The Walking Dead. Like she is the decision maker. She's the reason Aaron Paul is famous. She's the reason Bryan Cranston was Walter White. She's the reason for all of those big decisions. So she really knows what she's doing when it comes to casting people. She just looks at them and gets it. Like she understands what audiences will see when they look at a character or look at a performer rather. And what she said in that call that we did that was really, really interesting because she talked to everybody in the class, you know, all of these aspiring actors and actresses. And she was like, honestly, I can look at all of you guys and just see based on how you're holding yourself, based on what you look like, your facial expressions, within about a minute looking at each of you, I could probably figure out all of the roles you're capable of performing. And she was right. Like she was right because she could just tell based on talent and years of experience, somebody's type. And then she was able to cast based on that type, and it worked extremely well. And I think that she really knows what she's doing. Obviously, she's very, very good at it. But I think that there are some times that I look at castings in games or films or shows or whatever, and I'm like, that just doesn't seem like a good fit. And this is one of those situations where I look at this character based on my understanding of this character, which is that she's supposed to be one of the most hardcore, deadly bounty hunters in the galaxy. And I don't get that at all. Like I said, I look at Idris Elba in Phantom Liberty and I'm like, okay, this is a guy that has seen some stuff and that scares me. But I also want him to meet my parents. You know, he's got that vibe. I don't see that here. I don't see that here. And it's something where like people will counter and be like, oh, you just need to have a more open mind or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, maybe. But I like the thing with this, it reminds me again, what Sharon said in that call. She was like, you can't control what people think of you. They will think what they think of you. And she was saying it in the context of like performing. If you are cast in a role and people see you and think you look scary or think you look distrustful or think you look like a liar or think you look super innocent, you can't really control that. The audience will see what they see in you. And so it's almost like, you know, the customer's always right. In some ways, the audience is always right. If the audience looks at Steve Buscemi and thinks like, oh, he looks like kind of the creepy uncle type of character, that just is what the audience sees him as. If they look at Idris Elba and think, oh, this guy looks like a very successful spy or secret agent, seemed like Matt Damon during the peak years of the Bourne movies, or or any Daniel Craig when he was playing 007. You can't really control how people perceive you or a performer. And it's up to the casting director and the director themselves and the producers to pick somebody that fits the role properly. And it's one of those things, almost like good sound design or good technical design. When it's working, you shouldn't even think about it. But when it isn't working, it stands out. And you're like, okay, that just doesn't really fit super, super well. Yeah, there are some actors who can play whatever. You're right. But they are extremely rare. Very, very rare. And I mean, it's why they tend to be some of the most successful actors in the world if they can play anything. You might look at like a Johnny Depp that has a wide range and can do pretty much whatever he wants. He can play a French king and monarch, or he can play Willy Wonka. He's got or a drunk pirate. He can do whatever he wants. Or Leonardo DiCaprio got a super wide range. People have brought up like, she's like the lead in Meryl Streep. Thank you, Ben. Yes, Meryl Streep. That's who it is. Like Meryl Streep's been said to have a super wide range. So there's a lot of people that have this wide range. So, there are some people that have that wide range and can do kind of whatever, and audiences will believe it. That's extremely rare. And what was so interesting about discussions with this casting director was just that, she knows her stuff. You can't argue with that. She's cast some of the most amazing and successful shows of the last 15 years. And she's like, no, just straight up, it's a lot about just types. If I spot your type, that's what we're going to work with. And some people might be like, oh, well, Bryan Cranston, he was typed as like the comedic dad actor for years. And it's like, yes, but Sharon cast him based on his ability to portray like somebody that you root for. At his core, he is a father figure that you want to root for better or worse. And that's why he worked as Walter White and as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, because you wanted to root for him. And she spotted that, and that carried him through the show. Because that core consideration, even while Walter White's doing these horrible, horrible things, you're still strangely rooting for him to find some way out of all of this. And you can love it or hate it. There's a lot of actors that absolutely hate it and that root for like, no, we should fight the trends and everybody should be able to play any role, whatever. Cool. But again, as far as I can tell, it doesn't matter if audiences don't believe it. If audiences don't buy it, it doesn't really matter. Because if they don't buy that this guy looks like a warlord or somebody, it just wouldn't work. Like imagine if, okay, I was gonna say, imagine if they cast this guy as like Wendy Williams.
Death to all of them.
But then I was like, actually, that would be kind of fire. I would actually love that. That would be great. That would actually be really cool. So what's another person? Oh yeah, like imagine if Jojo Siwa was cast in this role. Would you take that character very seriously? Probably not. So I do think casting matters a lot in these games. And what's nice about video games is that you can have a different model on top of the actor. So an actor, as long as the actor is capable of performing it, an actor can play any character as long as they're capable of it. And that visual typecasting that happens is no longer a concern. But then it's up to the character artists to make a character that does pass that fit check, the vibe check, And sometimes they're successful in that, sometimes they're not. Should have been Ariana Grande. Yeah.
From each of them. Because of her experience, Vale is a formidable adversary for Kay. She can fight, pilot, hunt, smuggle, anything she needs to do in order to pull off a job. And
see, like, oh, the most successful, amazing bounty hunter. And then watch, he just like chucks her to the side.
Because of her experience, Vale is a formidable adversary for Kay. She can fight, pilot, hunt, smuggle, anything she needs to do in order to pull off a job and claim her bounty.
This is mixed up in something bigger.
Kay grew up alone, fighting for scraps in the workers' district of Canto Bight, relying on her skills as a thief and Nyx to pull off small cons to get by. Kay has always felt that the galaxy is rigged against people like her, and has always dreamt of a life beyond Canto, where she does not answer to anyone. This job is her opportunity to make her dream a reality and to finally be truly free.
It's not a bad premise. It is a premise that is inherent to Star Wars. I mean, it's not original, but that's probably by design. It's meant to be reminiscent of the other storylines in the franchise. Is it the most compelling thing ever? I don't really think so. I don't find the cast to be particularly interesting either, which is a little worrisome, but that might just be how it's been framed here. I feel like the original trailer did a much better job of making Vess seem more interesting, and her robot cyborg sidekick was a little bit more interesting. In this footage or this trailer, everybody seems really plastic and very corporate, but that might change. So I don't know. Final verdict. What do you guys think? How are you feeling? To me, I'm left kind of where I was before. Like, I think it has potential. I think if they can live up to that gameplay trailer, we are in for a real treat. But I'm not super sure, because I feel like already in this trailer, it seems like there's been a couple of downgrades here and there, but we just don't know if this is running on the same hardware or if this is running on console or whatever else. We just don't know. And maybe it is just that this is a game where the gameplay actually comes off better than the narrative, and the narrative is kind of an afterthought. In which case, cool. If the gameplay is awesome, and if the gameplay is where the fun is had, cool. The story can kind of be an afterthought. But my biggest thing is that everything from this just was very, very safe. The sandworm thing is super cool, because yes, it is a sandworm. Like this is cool. I kind of wish we would have seen more of this. Maybe they do another trailer this summer where they show off some more of this sequence. That could be really cool, because this is the first thing I've seen that's like, okay, that's different, but nothing super crazy compelling. Just a very safe trailer. Irate Dave, 8 months to support. Thank you, my friend. Big wait. Yeah, I mean, either way, as we've said for months and years and decades, you should still not be pre-ordering things 99.999% of the time. The only reason I don't go 100% of the time is because, like, if it's like, I would imagine maybe in some universe there's some, I can't think of an instance though when I would still be pre-ordering. Yeah, so, just don't pre-order. just don't do it. It's I mean, I get it. In this case, you're talking about getting like they say 3 days of early access. Okay, that's what they advertise here. 3 days of early access. So standard pre-order bonus. What's the pre-order bonus? Cosmetic pack for the speeder and for the spaceship. Okay. If you buy the gold edition for another $40, you can get 3-day early access and the season pass. And the season pass includes 2 DLCs that will release after launch, all new stories, quests, and areas. The Jabba's Gambit exclusive mission available at launch, and the Kessler Runner character pack featuring additional cosmetics. Okay. And then the ultimate is all of that, plus the Infiltrator bundle, which has more cosmetics, the Sabak Shark bundle, which is more cosmetics, and the digital art book for another $20 on top of that. A day before early access starts, you can still buy this if the reviews are all 10s out of 10s. You don't need to buy it a week in advance or 2 months in advance. Like, you can still wait till reviews have dropped and you know what you're getting into. You don't need to do it right now, okay? It'll be okay. We'll all manage. As for the season pass, I mean, they're committing to DLC, which I'll give them credit. Okay, cool. We'll see what that's like. The Jabba's Gambit exclusive mission. They've done this with other Ubisoft games, like Assassin's Creed Origins had one that was like the mysteries of the pyramids or whatever. And it was straight up like a 5-minute mission where you talk to a guy outside the pyramid, you walk in the pyramid, grab something and walk back out. And that was the whole mission. Like, it was pretty laughable, honestly. And they've done this with pretty much all of them. It's just standard. I know some people are calling like boycotts or calling for boycotts for this type of thing outright. If you want to boycott the game for that reason, more power to you. I'm not super into just boycotting things so casually, but you know, I guess I'm just resigned to the fact that this is just modern AAA game development. Their margins are so thin as is. They just have to find ways to sell you more stuff, unfortunately. These additional screenshots look fine. It's like just straight up Han Solo. We'll see. We're gonna get more gameplay footage, I'm sure, in the next like month or so. They also announced, of course, that it is releasing August 30th, which puts it probably a couple months before we get Assassin's Creed Red. So it'll have a little bit of breathing room, and then we'll get Assassin's Creed. So it looks like we're going to get this, then Ubisoft's dropping Assassin's Creed shortly after. They're just going to come out swinging, and we'll see if it works for them. We'll see. I'm just waiting for reviews and keeping my hype in check. Yeah, I mean, that's all you should be doing. My guess with most of these games from Ubisoft that have like a ton of potential, they usually even still end up as like 8s out of 10s, which is good, not great, but good. And good can still be worth getting. You know, it doesn't mean that it's immediately wait for a deep sale or anything. It might be a wait for a sale. I mean, like the biggest hurdle for Ubisoft to come over in the next like 5 years as a business is that everybody knows their games go on a pretty solid sale within a few months. And as times have gotten tougher, as people's budgets have tightened, as games quality has come more into question, more and more people are just going to do that. Like if you've established that within a few weeks or months, you're going to put it on 50% off, a lot of people are just going to wait for it to go 50% off, because why wouldn't they? I mean, especially if you're not a super crazy big Star Wars fan, why wouldn't you just wait 6 months and get it for half off? Everybody knows it's going to happen, so just do that. Whereas other games, you know, whether it's a PlayStation exclusive or a Nintendo game, you know, you don't know if that's ever going on sale. It might eventually for like a special occasion, but it's probably staying at full price or pretty damn close to it for a while. With Ubisoft games, it's not like that. They put it on deep sale pretty regularly. They've also slapped the included with Ubisoft Plus logo on here as well, which encourages people to try it for basically $18. So I fully expect that this is a game that you're going to be able to play for maybe 15, 20 hours, and then you'll probably finish it. And the Ubisoft Plus actually includes 3-day early access, all the pre-order stuff, all that. So you can actually sign up for $18 and get the same stuff as the $130 version, which to me is surprising because that, I mean, they're basically assuming you're going to keep your membership for like a year to basically make the same amount, which is surprising. But subscriptions, I mean, these subscriptions are entirely built on you signing up for it and then forgetting to cancel it. So I don't know if this has special stipulations where it's like you have to have it for like X number of months or you have to sign up for a year plan or whatever. I just realized she has a tattoo of the little alien creature on her wrist. That is kind of cute. I'll give her that. That's pretty adorable. That's funny. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on it. I still think it has potential, but I think they got to go a little more crazy. They got to show us some really cool stuff because everything we saw there was pretty safe.